Hello guys, welcome once again to Sobertech Solutions. This is the continuation, the part 2 of the previous video I made on how to get Python set up on your operating system. Today we are going to dive into programming, looking at the basic concepts of programming. So if you have not watched my first video on how to get Python installed on your device, you can get that in the description below, so that you go and watch it and you follow along with this particular video. If today happens to be the first time you're watching Sobertech Solutions, do not forget to subscribe, share, like, and also leave your comment. If you are old here, thank you for showing up once again. So without much ado, let's dive into today's video. So you need to launch your PyCharm. To do so, you can find it on your desktop. If it's not found on your desktop, you can also go to all programs, then you get PyCharm launched. If you can also do that, you can just click on the search bar, then you type the name PyCharm. So I'm going to click on the search bar here. Alright, then I have to search for PyCharm. Yeah, it is not even here. So you can see the edition. It is PyCharm Community Edition 2023.2.3. Okay, so you just double click on it to launch it. Let's wait a while for it to launch. Alright, now this is the first window we are all seeing, and we are much interested in this particular new project. You see, welcome to PyCharm. So we are much concerned with the new project here. So this is how we are going to start writing our program, our code in Python. So I don't want it to take me to the tour. I just want to close that. I'll take you guys through the setup. So now what you need to do is that you can see that it is on the projects tab. So now you click on what? New project. Click on new project. So I'll click on new project. Okay, another window is being shown. So far I have a lot of Python code somewhere, and you can see that the highlighted text here is Python project 5. Python project 5. So what you need to do is that you can just type the name of the Python project you want to be creating. I just want to name this project as Python 1. So I'll just clear the project 5 here and I'll say Python 1. Yes, so I want to create the first project of Python. So that is why I named this project 1 or Python 1. Feel free to also give yours any convenient name you want and you think you can remember. So now you can see that this base interpreter. So this is a version of Python that is going to interpret the code, that is going to convert the code from our understanding to the machine's understanding. Okay, so that we can actually interact. Okay, the machine doesn't understand how we speak, but there's someone who is going to translate from one language to the other. Okay, so that is why we need this interpreter. So now we are going to leave this by default because we want to go with Python 3.1.2. You can see that I have Python 3.1.1 and Python 3.1.2. Because you have the current one here, you are going to get Python 3.1.2. Alright, create a main.py welcome script. No, we don't want to do that, so just uncheck that. So I'll just say okay, then you create. Click on create. Let's wait for the setup to be done. Our programming window interface is going to be launched here. Let's just take time. It is now creating our virtual environment. So this virtual environment is going to enable us to write our code without finding any difficulties. As I said in my video, because I said Python has a lot of IDEs you can use. You can use PyCharm, you can use Jupyter Notebook, you can use the rest of the text editors like Atom or Visual Studio Code. Alright, I just want to close this, so I don't want to go to any automatic process. Okay, so you can see that we have some main window here. It is giving us some guideline as to how we are going to configure this. Don't worry, I'll take you through the steps. So you come here, expand this. Okay, if you expand this, you see that we have a lot of things here. We don't want to go to these particular things one after the other. Okay, we'll do that when the need arises. So just right click here. You can see that it's on your project. You can see mine is Python 1. So how you have named your project is how it's going to appear here. So if you have named yours Python project 1 or Python project 5, it is going to show here. And this particular folder is being found in the C drive under users, under Sobertech solutions, under PyCharm projects, and then you will find it in what? Python 1. So now I will just right click, then I'll come to new, then I'm going to create what? Python file. We have HTML file, so we are going to go with what? Python file, because we want to write a Python code. Right, so just click on it, then you name your file, you give your file a name. So I'm going to say hello, I'm going to give it hello, then I'll hit enter. Feel free to also name yours the way you want it. It is now indexing our file. Let's just wait patiently. So let's minimize this window. To minimize this window, you can just click on this minimize button here, or you can also use Shift plus escape. So you can just press Shift escape on your keyboard to hide this particular window. So I'm just going to click this to hide it. Alright, let's just wait. But before that, let's go through the manual process and do our configurations or our setup here. So just come to your right hand corner, you will see the settings icon here. You see, when I hover on it, you see IDE and project settings. You are going to click on this. So after you are done, you will see another small pop-up window. Click on settings. You can also use Ctrl plus Alt plus S to navigate to this particular window. So click on settings. Click on settings. Let's wait. Okay, you see that we have a lot of information here, but we are going to be working with a few of this. So what we need to do is that we're going to click on appearance. Okay. Then with appearance, you can set the theme. The theme is how your programming window interface is going to be. You want it to be dark or light, anything at all you want, you can do that. So you can see we have light, and you can see that now my window is now light. You see, you can also select maybe light with lighter hairs or header, or you can select dark. So you can also select this. So just feel free, choose any one of your choice. I'm going to leave it by default. I'll go with dark. Alright, so now I'll come to my editor tab here. Then I'll expand it, expand the editor. Then you will see font. Click on font. Yes, so you can see that the default size is 13 and the line height or the line spacing is 1.2. so that is why you are going to see this way. This is how you are going to see it here. This is how it looks. So when you make any adjustment, it's going to give you a preview of how your window interface is going to be. So now I want to increase this particular font size to 20. I want to go with 20. Alright, and you can see that now the preview interface has increased. And I want to leave the line spacing or the line height to what? 1.5. Okay. Yes, these are the basic settings we will do. You can also come here and do the color theme, the color scheme. You can come and do general. You can select color scheme font, console font, then code with me. So these are a lot of things we'll talk about later. So let's just ignore this for the meantime. So what we need to do is just click on apply here, and okay, remember to click on apply to apply these particular changes you have made. Click on OK to close this window. Alright, and here we are. So we are going to minimize this again. And now we are going to be writing our first code in Python. Leave your comment if you are very happy to find yourself in this particular lesson. Today, we are going to look at how we print informations using Python. We have a lot of programming languages that deal with a lot of ways in writing or displaying an information on a console. And you can see that we have a black interface here. This window is what we call the programming window or the interface. So now we are going to be writing our code, and this is what we call console window. Console because it doesn't have user interface or graphical user interface, which we popularly call the GUI, the GUI, graphical user interface, because it doesn't have where the user is going to navigate to get information done. Everything is done within the console. Okay, right. So now we are going to print an information. So to print information in our console, Python has a particular function called print. So the print function is going to enable us print information on the console. So to do that, we are going to type the word print, just like this, with double quotes. At times it will give you a preview or a default setup. So you click on it, double click, and now it will give you this particular bracket without you typing it yourself. You see how that is? It's very simple. So if yours didn't come that way, feel free, just hold down Shift, then bracket open. Click on the bracket open, it will bring everything to you. Then you now select double quote here. Then let's just say hello beginners. Hello beginners. So you can see that mine is complaining here that no new line at the end of file. So we can say reformat the file. You can just click reformat the file, and now it will format the file, and now your problem will be solved. So I don't want to do that. I want to give you everything at all you need. So just say undo. Then I will just hit enter. Then having done that, I will click save to save this particular code I just wrote. So now, how do we run this particular code we just wrote? To run this particular code we just wrote, you need to come to the top section here, which says current file. After current file, you will see this particular icon. That is the play icon. The play icon. That is what we are going to use. So this play icon is going to run hello.py. .py is an extension for Python. That is Python's extension. Okay, just like JavaScript uses JS. Then HTML uses .html. CSS uses .css. So this is also an extension for Python. So any code you are going to write in Python ends with what? Py. That is why we have first of all selected Python project. I'm going to give you another way of creating a file without going through as a Python project, and we are going to do that manually. We are going to do that very soon. So now you can click on run here, which you can also use the shortcut Shift plus F10. Shift plus F10. So I'm going to just click here. So now let me drag this window to the top. And now you can see that hello beginners. You have been able to write your Python code. This is how we learn. You program along as I do in order to be able to remember things easily. So when you are just watching the video thinking that after the video you go and do that by yourself, it's going to be a little bit difficult. So just feel free, relax, take time, get your machine set up, then you code along with me. Okay? Alright. So now we have been able to execute our first program here. I can also use print here. Then instead of using double quote, I can also use single quote. Then I'll print welcome back. Okay, I'll hit enter. Then now I'll run it. So now you can see hello beginners, welcome back. Alright, so you can use double quote to display informations with a function print, or single quote. There are instances whereby you may need to use the double quote. I will tell you when the need arises. Alright, do not forget to subscribe, like, and also share to your friends or your loved ones to also get an advantage over this particular video. So let's continue. So now I wrote this and it performed a particular task. What if someone decides to write everything in uppercase letters, meaning capital letters? Because I wrote the print in lowercase letters. So what if I write it in uppercase letters? If I write it in uppercase letters here, it is a new thing here and it's giving me an error. And I want to print this. And I run, we are going to get an error. And this error is occurring at line 4. And this is the line 4 here. This is where our problem is coming from. So these are predefined words which has specific meaning, specific code that perform specific tasks. That is why we say they are functions. A function is a block of code that perform a particular task. So the print function is used to print information on the console. Okay, so we use lowercase to name that. These are reserved keywords. Reserved keywords are keywords that has specific meaning in a particular programming language and can be used elsewhere apart from its design purpose. So we can only use the print function to print information. And you can go and write the print function and assign something to the print function. The same way you are seeing it here, it will not agree. It will not allow you. That is why I say in every programming language, we have rules and regulations. So we call them syntax. So syntax are the rules and regulations governing how programming languages are supposed to be written. Okay, so we are going to follow that. So there are instances whereby some are using lowercase throughout, some are using uppercase with their initials throughout. Then we're going to get to know each one of this as we go along with this video. Take time, watch this video to the fullest so that you can understand and also practice as well. So now we have been able to print information on a console here. So what we need to do is that we are going to another set of writing our code. So now we are going to look at what we call comment. Comment. So before we talk about comment, we all need to know that comment is just like a placeholder, a description as to how certain things are done in our programming language. So comments are used by the programmer to tell another programmer the reason why he or she wrote the code that way, or to also give a brief description how that particular code is being written, so that maybe one day, one time, when he or she wants to do updates, it will be easy for him or her to know how the code was being written in order to adjust or advance that particular lines of code. Okay, so now we know comments, and in Python we have single comment and what? Multiple comment. The single comment uses what we call the pound symbol, the hash symbol. So you see what I wrote here, Python is complaining. Why is this programmer writing this thing like this? I don't understand it. Python is worried because it doesn't follow the rules and regulation of Python. Python didn't even know what I'm trying to write, so it is complaining. What is going on? So we use the pound symbol or the hash symbol to give single comment. So the moment I bring the pound symbol now here, so you can see that Python will not complain again. So you can see that Python is not complaining again. Now, okay, this man wants to write a comment. So now I understood him. So if I didn't use the hash symbol and I use anything at all, Python will see it as an error. That is why I said you have to follow the rules and regulations of what? Python before you can actually write it. Okay, so if you are writing Python program, you have to follow the rules of Python. So now I can decide to write multiple comments just using the pound symbol, but that's going to be a lot of things. So we are going to be looking at what? Multiple comment. So the multiple comment we uses the quotes, the double quotes. So you're going to get double quotes. Press Shift, tap the double quote key 1, 2, 3. Okay, you will type it. You may cancel it again. Hold down the Shift key, then you hit double quote. You hit it again. When you hit it again, it will jump. That's why I say you need to hit it 3 times, because it will be in the middle. So the moment you hit it again, it will jump. So you are going to hit it 3 times. So the first one will give you the double quotes. The second hit will move the cursor outside the quote. Then the third hit will add another quote. Okay. Then now you leave everything. Then you hit enter on your keyboard. You come to the 3 dotted lines, the 3 quotes at the top here. Then you hit enter again. So now here you can write your comments. So I can just say this is multiple. Oh, let's run our code and see what happens. You can see it is just printing hello beginners, welcome back, but it is not rather printing multiple comments. So this is a single comment, this is a multiple comment. So comments are being ignored by the compiler. Okay, they are not shown during the runtime. Okay, so they are being ignored because they are just giving descriptions in the code, but they are not allowed to be displayed by the compiler. Okay, so now that we have been able to print information on our console, so we know how to write single comments and multiple comments. So now we are going to move to another section. We are going to be learning variables. So now, what is a variable? Variable is a container or a placeholder that is used to store a value in a particular programming language or in a programming language. Okay, so it's just like a placeholder, a temporal storage for that matter, that stores information. All we need to know is that Python has the way the variables are being written. So you should also know that every variable has 2 ways of doing it. So it means either the user is going to enter an information and it will be stored there, or the program is going to store an information to print out to the user, or to take the user's input, add up to what is being installed, then perform a particular activity or a particular function. So now Python, before you write your variable must not begin with a number. The variable must not begin with a number. I can begin with an underscore or a letter. We should all know that variables are not being given space. So if I want to write first name, no, Python will not allow this. So this should not be done in naming variables. Then variables must be they have to have meaning. Variables must be meaningful. Meaning, if you are writing a variable to store something, it has to be meaningful. Meaningful in the sense that if I'm writing name, if I say name, everybody knows it is a name. It can be a name of a person or a place or a thing. But the moment I use maybe letter A to name a certain thing like name, it is not meaningful. When someone else is reading my code, the person will not even understand what the A variable is doing. But the moment I use like age or height or location, if I use location, now any person who is reading my code will know that location is actually for a place, the name of a place. So the person will understand it easier. There are instances whereby we also use characters to name or give names to our variable using characters. We are going to be looking at that one too. But it is good you give meaningful names to your variable. If you are storing the age of a person, you can use age. If you are storing the height of a person, you can use height. If you are storing maybe the gender of a person, you can use maybe gender. You can use sex or anything at all you think is meaningful. All right. Then we also say that when you want to give maybe when a variable name has two words or maybe two informations together, like first name, like we have maybe first name. All right, so these are two words. So Python prefers that we use them like this. So you only need to write your variable name. When it is more than one word, you need to combine them, and the second word will be a capital letter or an uppercase letter. The initial of the second word should be a uppercase letter. Okay, that is what we call this, a camel case naming convention. So you have to follow certain principles in order to give names to your variables. Okay, so now when we declare a variable, we now know how variables are being declared, and when we declare a variable, we can assign a value to it, or we ask the user to do that. We will subsequently look at how that is done. So for now, we are going to look at data types. Data is a piece of information that we use to enter into the system that does not make a complete sense until it has been processed. So now we are going to look at data types, and data types, we have the primitive data type and non-primitive data type. And the primitive data types is what we call the string, the integer, the float, and the boolean. Okay, string is like English text. Okay, so we have a string which is the same as text. Then we have integer, which is int, which is the same as negative or positive whole numbers. Then we have float, negative or positive decimal numbers. Okay, then we have boolean, which uses bool, which is also the same as, which is true or false. In English, we say yes or no in English. So these are the primitive data types, the basic ones. These are 4. So we are going to look at how they also work. So these are the data types, the primitive data type that we have, the default ones for that matter. So now we are going to look at how variables and data types work. So the moment you declare a variable, automatically the value in which is going to hold is to a particular data type. It can be a string, an integer, a float, or a boolean. So now let's declare a particular variable and assign name to it. So we are going to call a variable name, then we are going to assign a name, Kumasi. Then now this name Kumasi here has this particular information, and this is what we call a string, series of what? Characters. So now we will print, we have already learned about the print function, so we will now print name. Okay, so now we print name here, so just save that and run again. Alright, so you can see that it's printing Kumasi. So variables are case sensitive. Okay, so the moment I decide to change this one, add something to it, or even say n here, this is a different thing, so it is going to give us an error, and it is going to print name, and this name error, name, which is this, is not defined. Did you mean name? It is now suggesting, because we have declared this and not this. So these are two different things altogether. This name with lower cases is different from this name with the initial uppercase. Is a different thing altogether. So Python is confused because it has not been declared. So we know that variables are case sensitive. The way they are written is the way they should be called. Okay, how you declare them is how you invoke or you call them. Okay, so now we are printing this, and now it is printing what? Kumasi. So let's see how Python identifies that this is a string. So to know that this is a string, this is what we are going to do. After printing this, we are going to say type. Then we say name. So we want to know, you see, just like name is equals to Kumasi. So print the type of the name. You see, that's why we are saying that Python is just like English. Print the type of the name, the data type of this particular name. So if we print, instead of giving us Kumasi, it's going to give it the data type of this particular variable. Okay, this variable has a value, Kumasi. So this Kumasi, we all know it is a text, which is a string. So let's see how this is going to be. So let's run, and now it's saying the class is what? String. So meaning this name here or this variable contain a value or a data type of string. Okay, so if I change this to 3, let's see what happens again. What do you think will happen? Is it going to be a string or an integer? Leave that in the comment section below. Okay, all right, so now it is saying a string, but we know that 3 is not a string, but Python is saying 3 is a string. Python identifies strings whenever they are into single or double quotes. So the moment I declare a variable and assign it a single quote or double quote, it becomes a string. So that's how Python uses to identify that. So the moment something is in quote, being a single or double, Python knows that it is a string. But the moment it is not in this particular quote and just something like this, Python knows this to be as what? An integer. So now it is printing the class of what? Integer here. Good. So if I change this to 0.5, now Python is going to print this as what? Float. You see that? Float. Okay. If I print this as, so we have been able to see string, integer, and float. So now let's look at Boolean. If I say true and I want to print true, it's going to tell me it is a bool. Okay, why do we even need to understand or identify this? There are instances whereby you use them. Python, you can decide to use it or not to use it. Python will not complain. The moment the particular principle is being followed, Python understands what you mean. So for example, if I want to assign a variable to this particular name, I can just say name, then I will say column, give a space str for string, then I will say single or double quote, then I'll put Kumasi. Okay, and now I can still print this. I can print Kumasi here, which is name, and now save and run. So now Kumasi is printed, and it is the same thing. So if you want to use the data types at all, so this is how we write with data types. This is how we write with data types. If you want to use without data types, you can go along with the previous example. Okay, so we have been able to learn string, integer, float, and bool. So if I say maybe its name, then I'll change this to uppercase. Its name, I can just say bool. Then instead of this, I'll just say true. and you know the true is being written with what? The T is capital and the rest are lowercase. So the moment you write it all lowercase, it's no more true as Python knows. So it becomes a new thing in this particular programming language. Okay, so it's male. So now if I change this, you can see that it has a default color, something like orange or something like that. So if I change it to T here, it's a different thing. Python doesn't know this, so it is going to be capital T. So now Python understands that this particular gentleman is for me. So if I say print this, let's see what happens. So now it's going to print true. It's going to print true. Okay. So now we need this in order to work with a lot of bulk data. There are instances whereby you need a data type of something and you need to convert that particular data type into another data type. So that is how we follow to do this. And it's good you know how the data types are being written and how they are being declared. So let's look at another thing. If I want to store a lot of variables, like I store something inside a lot of variables, I can just say name, then instead of this I'll just say maybe command C again, then I'll come here again, then I'll say maybe country, then I'll say maybe equal to Ghana here, then I'll come back and say maybe code, maybe I need a country code of Ghana, and I'm going to say plus 233. Okay, so I can also declare them this way and I'll print them. I can print them. So how do I print all these things? So I can just print them by using their names. So to print this is how you're going to do. Just say print, then we're going to print name. So this is what we call string concatenation. How to combine strings. Okay, we'll talk about some few ones again. So I'll just say space country, then space, then I'll say code. Then when I run this, I should be able to get my result displayed on the console. So now if I print this, you say Kumasi Ghana 2 plus 233. Okay. So I can also do this. Instead of doing it this way, I can do it this way too. So instead of this, I'll just say name, comma, country, comma, code, then I will now say the first one name is what? Kumasi here. Okay, then I'll say comma. Second one will be Ghana. Then I'll say comma. Then this last one will be the country code, which is what? Plus 233. You can also do it this way. Okay, you can write them in this way. So meaning this first one has an index of 0, which is assigned to this one. This one has an index of 1, which is assigned to this. This one also has an index of what? 2, and which is also assigned to this. So this index 0, index 1, index 2. Okay, so now if I print, I can still print the same thing. I can just print. This. So I can print name, country, then code. So now if I run this on a terminal, I should be able to get my, right, you see that? Kumasi Ghana plus 233. So now that you see, you can write your code in a lot of ways. You understand them. This one is going to perform the same function. Okay, going to perform the same function. So let's say that I want to write this particular code and say maybe I come from Kumasi Ghana plus 233. So instead of this, I have to write I come from. Okay, I can declare the I come from here as a variable and just say come, which is I come from. I just want to leave it at this. Instead of printing, I can just come here and say come, comma. Then now I can print this. You see, I come from Kumasi, Ghana, plus 233. Or you can also add that, and plus 233 is my country code. So I come from Kumasi, Ghana, and plus 233 is my country code. So I come from Kumasi, Ghana, and we can say end here. So I can just say end. And here, I'll just use this ND. Or if I use the normal end, it is going to be a reserved keyword, which Python will not allow me to use it. So I just say end, and my country code is okay. So I can just say I come from Kumasi, Ghana, and my country code is, so I have to say, just say and here. Okay, so now if I print this, let's see what happens. So you can see I come from Kumasi, Ghana, and my country code is plus 233. Okay, so someone can also decide not to just bring this. Instead of writing all these declaring variables for this, someone may decide to also use a different way of doing that. So string concatenation, combination of two or more strings. So now instead of doing this, I will just come and do this there instead. Just do this instead. Okay, I'll do this instead. So instead of printing this, I'll just say name. So instead of this, I'll just say come, double quote, then say I come from, you see, I come from Kumasi, Ghana, and this one is where I'm going to say and my country code is, then I'll just concatenate this also. So I can do this. This is what we call string concatenation. Okay, this is what we call string concatenations. So I'll just save this, then I'll run it. So you can see I come from Kumasi, Ghana, and my country code is plus 233. Someone may also decide to use this instead. This first step, this is the second approach. Plus here. Instead of these comments, the person will want to use plus. These comments plus. So we are using the addition symbol here. So you can just say this. So now let's give spaces. Just want to show clarity, and I'll give a space here. There's one issue with this. Let's see what happens. Let me save it, and now let's run it. You can see I come from Kumasi, Ghana, and my country code is plus 2. You can see that it is being combined. So to fix this particular issue, you need to give a space here, 1, and you see Ghana and end. So I'll give space, and here I'll give a space. If I use the comma sign, nothing will happen. It will come direct because as I use it, you see. So now you see Ghana. Okay, I come from Kumasi. You see Ghana here. See, I come from Kumasi. So now I have to give a space here. So to give a space here, I have to come here, type double quotes here, then addition symbol here. Before now, I'll give a space here. So now if I print this, you see that now I come from Ghana. I come from Kumasi, Ghana, and my country code is plus 233. And now the problem is fixed. So someone may decide to also use it a different way. You can see that this is very tedious. Okay, this is very tedious. You have to be formatting and all sort of things. So this is what we call string concatenation. You can also do that by doing this simple method. Instead of doing this, you can also use the format function. Python has a format function where you can format your text. Okay, because we all know that whatever you write here is the same way it is going to be displayed. So if I write name here and I expect to see Kumasi here, no, it's going to write or print this particular name and not Kumasi instead. So if I run here, you see it is printing name, but I want it to print Kumasi. Okay, I want this to print Kumasi for me, but not this name. So I can format this so that Python will now understand that no, I doesn't want to print this, but I want to print the value inside this particular variable. So to do that, we use the letter F to format that. We use letter F to format that. So I'll just say F here. And now to do this, I just need to highlight it and put what? Parentheses here. Curly brackets open and close. And now it should be able to print Kumasi for me. So now if I run this, instead of printing name, I now see Kumasi. Yes, so this is how powerful Python is. Okay, so now instead of doing this, I can just now come here. After formatting this one, I'll just say I come from. So now I'll just say curly braces, name come from Kumasi. Then now I'll just say the country, Ghana, and now I'll say and my country code is, then now I'll say code. You see that? So now this is going to fix all my problems for me. You see that? So save it, and now let's run. So you can see I come from Kumasi, Ghana, and my country code is +233. So now you see how we write a lot of codes using simple way of formatting them. So I've showed you 3 steps with the comma, with the addition sign, and with the formatted code with the F keyword. So the moment I remove this F, this whole information will be printed, and the data types that this particular information hold will not be printed. So when I hover or click on them, it doesn't give any sign to any of these particular variables. But if the F is here, the moment I click on name, you see that now name is highlighted here. If I click on country, you see that country is highlighted here. If I click on code, you see that now code is being highlighted here. But the moment I remove the format, it means I'm going to print all this. So let's run our code and see. And now you can see it is printing. I come from curly braces, name, country. You see, so you need to format it. F here, then we are good to go. So now we have been able to learn how to print information. We learned about comments, single comment. We learned about multiple comments. We learned about variables. We learned about data types, and we also learned about what? Strings concatenation. Strings concatenation. And I told you guys that you can use the single quote, the double quote to declare or to print an information. I also told you guys that we have a lot of ways you can do that. There are instances whereby the single quote will be needed or the double quote will be needed. As we go along, we'll be able to see a lot of information. So now we have been able to talk about string, integer, float, and boolean, and we all saw how they are being declared. Okay, and I told you how string concatenations work. You can use the comma, addition symbol, or the formatted way using the F letter. Okay, so now we are going to learn how we can accept input from the user. So now to accept input from the user, we need to invoke another function called input. So I can just say input here, and then I'll just hit enter, and then I'll say enter your name here. So now let's run here. So you can see the input function is saying that I should enter your name here. I should enter my name. So now I can go ahead and enter my name. So I can just say Soba here. Okay, if I hit enter, nothing shows. The process terminates. So now this print is doing two things. It's going to give the user opportunity to know what to do. It's going to print to the user and also accept information from the user. So the print information only prints information to the user. So the only thing the print information that it prints, and you can't enter anything, you can't type anything. So it's not going to accept. But the input function prints information to the user and also accepts data from the user. So now when we type our name, you see that nothing happens because this particular print has no variable where this information will be stored. So to solve this, we can just say, give it like name, then it's equals to this. So now when we enter, or whatever we type will be stored in the name variable. So whatever the person is going to enter, so when you enter your name here, it will be stored here. So if we run it again, I enter my name here, so over here, I run and nothing happened. But now this variable is being stored. This variable is being stored here. So now if I terminate, it terminates again. So now if I need to print my name, just say print. Then instead of doing this, I'll just say print. Then I'll say double quote here, welcome. So I will mention my name and say hello, then I will mention the name. So now I'll just do that by saying hello. Then I'm going to use the formatted way with this F here. I'll just say hello, curly braces, name. So hello. So it is going to print my name. It will add hello, then it will print my name in addition. So now just say okay here. So now let's print. So now I'll just run. Now I'll enter my name. I'll just say Soba. Then I hit enter, and then it will print hello Soba. So you see how it is. So that is why we need to learn all these informations. So now if I also say input your age, and I say age here, okay, enter your age, and I run this instead of this. So we said variable names must be meaningful. So I can just do this and say age. Okay, you see that I have to come and manually change this. I can also do this once and for all. So I'll just say undo. Then I'll have to highlight this. Then I'll right click on it. Then I'll come all the way to refactor. So when I come to refactor, I'll come to what? Rename. And you can also use Shift plus F6 to do that. So you have to first of all come to refactor, and come to what? Shift F6. So if I say Shift F6, so I'll just enter age, then hit enter. So now you can see that now everything has been changed. Shift F6. You have to first of all highlight it, then you press Shift F6, then you type whatever you want to type there and it will change. The other thing is that maybe you have repeated age more than 20 times in your code. So meaning you have to go manually and change everything. So you can just change the first one with this particular shortcut, Shift F6, then you are good to go. It will update or change the rest of that particular variable in your code. So now if I print age here, so enter your age now, I'll enter 23. You see hello 23. So you see that, so you entered hello 23. I entered 23 and it's printing this. So what if I want to add it? Okay, if I want two numbers, so that I'll add. So I can just say first num here, or num1. Then I'll repeat this, just copy it. Control C to copy. Hit enter, Control V to paste. Then I'll just say num2 here. So enter. I'll just say num1. Then here will be enter num2. So now instead of printing this, I'll just say total equal to, then I'll just say num1 plus num2. Okay, meaning number 1 plus number 2, we are going to add them, then we print it. So if I run this code, num1 I'll just say 20, num2 I will say 20, so that we'll get the result 40. But look at this, it's printing 2020. Why is it printing 2020? If you know the reason, leave that in the comment section below. Why is it printing 2020? Okay, now it's printing 2020 because anything at all you enter by default is a string to Python. Any data at all you enter is a string to Python. So you need to convert it or tell Python that no, I want this particular thing should be this, before Python will understand and do it that way. So that is why we need to enter the data type. So now I can just say the whole of this we highlighted. Now just a shift bracket open and close. So you just highlight everything here. You highlight everything, then you include it. So now just say input. So input here, at the back of the input, I'll just say int. I want an integer. I'll do same for this. Highlight the whole thing, shift plus 9. Then you enter int here. So having done this, let's run our code again and see what happens next. So now say 20, and now it is printing 40. Do you see that? Because initially it is input, and the moment you enter any input is a string. The moment you enter anything at all is a string. So to convert it from a string to integer, you need to include the integer function, so that we now know that this num1 and num2, the value the user will be entering should be integer. So whatever the user entered, take it as integer. But now that we have declared integer here, so now if we try entering any text, we are going to get an error, because now this has been assigned with what? Integer. So the variable is now expecting an integer value. At the moment you enter anything aside an integer, it is going to give you an error. Let's try that and see. So let me rerun my code here, and now I'm going to enter maybe 20.5 or 0.4. I'll enter this one. You see, it's been giving error. It didn't even allow me to enter the second one. You see, and this happens in line 1. The mode, you see, input, this is giving me an error. You said you want an input, you want to input this particular data type, integer, but now you are entering what? A float. You see, you say you want an integer, now you are entering a float. So this one will not understand, it won't understand. So if I want to accept both integer and floats, I need to just use float, so that when I enter float, it will work for integer and float as well. Alright, so now if I run this, and now I can decide to enter 20.4, then I'll enter 20 here. It will print, say 40.4. It's printing 40.4. Okay, alright. So now I can just come here. Instead of printing this direct, I can also just come here this way, and I'll just give a variable as maybe sum. Then we say equal to, then I'll say num1 plus num2. Okay, so this sum is going to hold this. So I'll now print sum instead of num1 plus num2. I'll print sum here. Let's do this and see what happens. So 20.5 or 4, then 24.6. You see, it's printing 44, because 20 plus 23 is going to be 43. So 0.4 plus 0.6 is going to be 1. So it will be 44.0. You see that? So now if I declare a variable name, I say equal to single quote, I say maybe school here, and I print name here, this will be school. Alright, it's going to print school. But out of instance whereby I want this school to be uppercase letters, dot upper dot upper. Then I'll now run this, and now you can see school is uppercase letters now. So this is the upper function. This is another function that does this. So if I say dot capitalize, this capitalize, so it's the first S will not be capitalized. Okay. So I can also say dot, let's say if all is uppercase, I can also use dot lower. So I can just say school. Then instead of this uppercase, I'll just use lower. Lower. Then I'll print this, and you see that it is in lowercase. So if I print this, does not change the actual value. So if I come over and print name again, you will see that it's going to be uppercase. Okay, see it is printing lower and uppercase. This does not change it. It only formats that particular line of code. Okay, so this is how you can change or try to convert this from lowercase to uppercase or capitalize them. And the reason why we need those particular lowercase and uppercase is to use it for the logic. So maybe you'll be expecting a user to enter something. When the user enters that information, you need to convert it so that it will match certain principles in your code. What of if the person enter uppercase letters? What you have used to define your program is lowercase. It's going to get an issue. So you need to take the input from the user, then you convert it to the type that you want, or you format it the way you want it to be able to use it in your code. So this is how you'll be able to use all these particular informations to do a lot of tasks. So the next video, I'm going to show you how you can be able to generate a multiplication table. I will show you the beginner guide, how you'll be able to generate a multiplication table, asking the user to enter a number. So if this video helps you a lot, do not forget to subscribe, share, like, and also leave your comments. Thank you for showing up. So guys, this brings us to the end of today's video. See you in my next video.